Hi, I'm Brickroad. Welcome to Let's Play Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon. This is a Castlevania XP made by Koji Igarashi after he left Konami. Igarashi is the one who made all of those Metroidvania-style Castlevanias. In fact, the games that coined half of the name of that genre. He worked on Symphony of the Night as a scenario writer, but then he actually worked as a producer on all of the other freeform Castlevania titles. Circle of the Moon, Harmony of Dissonance, Aria of Sorrow, and so on and so forth. And after the thrilling success of Mighty No. 9, apparently Igarashi and his boyos decided, you know what? Konami doesn't want to make Castlevania games anymore, but we still want to make Castlevania games. Let's go on Kickstarter and make us a Castlevania game. And they did. It got funded, I think, $5 million out of the $500K they were asking for. I think that's how it shaped out. It was astoundingly successful very, very quickly. And this was a little bit before the bottom kind of dropped out of some of these video game nostalgia bait Kickstarters. Predominantly, of course, Mighty No. 9 was a bit of a glorious failure. I can't go in that door. What am I doing? I need to go up these stairs. But it wasn't the only one of its kind. There was Broken Age, which was Tim Schafer's thing. What's the other one that didn't go very well? I can't remember now, but there's been a couple of them. And so I didn't back Bloodstained. The Kickstarter was for a game called Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which was going to be an XP of Symphony of the Night, a more modern style Castlevania game. The problem is, oh, getting burned. That's fine. I really enjoy Symphony of the Night. It is one of my favorite games. Like, it's one of my Desert Island games, you know? Like when the apocalypse comes and Peanut and I are going to have to put our plan into motion to escape America and go live on a desert island somewhere. I'm bringing Symphony of the Night with me. And, but I don't really like most of the other Igavania games, most of the other games that came after Symphony. Circle of the Moon I barely remember at all. Like, at all. Which is not a good look. I know I played it when it was new. It was the first game to come out since Symphony that was going to be kind of like Symphony, and yeah, I don't remember it at all. I didn't play Harmony of Dissonance. Aria of Sorrow I was kind of okay with, but I mostly liked it for its alternate gameplay mode where you get to play as Julius Belmont. The sequel, Dawn of Sorrow, I didn't like hardly at all because it was way too much of an RPG, and that's really my criticism of the Igavania games. They're way too much of an RPG and not enough of like a Castlevania action game. That's the big distinction between Symphony of the Night and the rest of the games. The Symphony is an action game that has some RPG elements, and the rest of the games are side-scrolling RPGs with a little bit of Castlevania stuff in it. So I didn't back Bloodstained. I think by the time the Bloodstained Kickstarter was really rolling, I think by that time Mighty No. 9 was already starting to look a little sketch, and I had already not backed Mighty No. 9, even though I'm an enormous hardcore Mega Man fan, because... Why didn't I back number... Oh, because at the time I didn't have... Come on, I gotta count my sword slashes here. 5, 2, 3, 4, and then we're down. Okay. At the time that Mighty No. 9's Kickstarter was... Oh, I forgot about that attack. Oh, I just got fireball to the face. We're going to dodge one fireball and then back off, and then we can get right up in his face again for another slash. I actually have the wrong weapon here. I've got the fireball scroll weapon when I really should have the chain. I was too busy talking about Kickstarter stuff and not paying attention to the game I'm playing. You ever do that? Not pay attention to the game you're playing? But yeah, the Mighty No. 9 Kickstarter was big. I only had a couple bucks at the time, and I had the choice to either back that or Shantae, and I backed Shantae, which came out and was excellent. I enjoyed it, and I have a playthrough on my channel. It's my Christmas video from a couple years ago. If you really want to enjoy Shantae, please to be doing so. The point is, I feel like first of all, I wasn't a huge fan of the Igavania games, so I didn't really want to back the Kickstarter because I think Ritual of the Night, now that we've seen some gameplay footage of it, now that it's getting onto the cusp of release, I do think it looks really good, but I'm still very apprehensive, because if it plays and feels very similar to Symphony, I will be happy. But if it plays and feels more similar to, say, Dawn of Sorrow, I might have to give it a pass. So I wasn't super excited for Bloodstained, but one of the Kickstarter stretch goals, because they made $5 trillion instead of $3.5 trillion, they said, if we make this stretch goal, we're going to make a prequel to Ritual of the Night in an NES style, and that's what Curse of the Moon is. If Ritual of the Night is going to be the XB4 Symphony of the Night, and I'm trying very hard to not get these names mixed up, I really am, then Curse of the Moon is the XB4, say, Castlevania 3. It was developed by Inti Creates, which was a smart move on Igarashi's part. You know, hire the people who know how to make these 8-bit action games and make them excellent. And I really love this game. Before I played this, the actual Bloodstained Kickstarter game wasn't really on my radar. I wasn't really that excited for it. I probably wasn't going to buy it, and I wasn't really following it in the news. But after I played this game and loved basically every brick of it, like, Bloodstained might be a day one purchase now. We'll have to wait and see. But Curse of the Moon, excellent, excellent game. It's very similar to Castlevania 3 in a lot of ways, even down to like the level structure. But the big thing is, it does have Castlevania-style controls. Our main character here is Zangetsu with his sword, and you've got measured jumps. You cannot alter the height or direction of your jumps, but you can switch characters on the fly. This is Miriam. Miriam has a whip. She's kind of like the Belmont character, except she's a little more agile than a typical Belmont, because she does have a high jump, and she has this slide move. Zangetsu controls more similar to what you would imagine of a Belmont, but he doesn't have a whip. He has this sword instead. And then we'll get 2 more characters as we go, who are just, again, XPs for the characters in Castlevania 3. So, I am famous for not liking the old arcade-style Castlevania games. So why do I like Curse of the Moon? And the answer is actually pretty simple. I gotta be careful here, because you have pre-measured jumps, and it's actually very easy for Miriam to... It looks like she can make the jump over to the left there, because Zangetsu can make it. No problem. If Miriam tries to make it, though, she will jump over that block and land in the hole on the other side. I've lost a lot of lives with Miriam like that. But for me, this game, it really just comes down to the boss fights. The boss fights in Castlevania are what make those games bad, in my opinion. The boss fights with you've got these choppy controls that just don't feel good. You've got these jumps that don't work. You've got this whip, this delay on your attack. The game like steals your good sub-weapons all the time. And the combination of all those things is what makes Castlevania kind of a bad experience for me. This game, though, they kept most of the level design intact. Like, a lot of this level design would feel right at home in something like Castlevania 3. And I think I want to get this now, yeah, because this will help me not get killed by the Archer Fool. So the big difference is the boss fights. The boss fights in this game were not designed to be hard, super challenging, only winnable with one particular item boss fights. That's not the goal of these fights. Instead, they designed very elaborate, like pattern recognition fights. You saw the first one we fought with the oven on the back of the train. Not the oven, the steam engine on the back of the train. And almost all the boss fights in this game are of that nature. They're not difficult, but they're big, they're impressive, the bosses have lots of attacks, and that makes all the difference in the world. It's really... Keep the level... Oh wait, I need... do I want an axe? No, I don't want an axe. Did I pick up my kunai? There we go. Okay. Where'd the kunai go? Did they disappear? Alright, I need to get in place here. Oh, I'm not going to be able to get in place because I don't have Alfred yet. I'm used to playing the boss rush mode against these bosses, and I have kind of a routine to get all my dudes in place. But I think if I run straight forward and then slide... am I in range? Yeah, just barely. So the bosses, they're not super hard to dodge. They're all pattern recognition bosses. There's none of this situation where... Get out of the way. There's none of this situation where like you can get trapped in a corner by a boss that you can't really attack. As far as I can tell, the bosses don't really have random movement patterns, and they're just super fun boss fights. They're the kind of boss fights you wouldn't expect in a Castlevania game. Maybe some of the Igavania games have bosses of this caliber, but those games, the boss fights are ruined because they're RPGs. Oh, I have to listen close. Hold on. Aha! As you can see, each boss has like a finale desperation attack, and I had to listen to the rumbling in the background to know when to jump, because the boss will fly in from the side of the screen and try to crash into you, but if you jump, you can bait the boss higher on the roof, or on the wall, and it'll crash into the wall instead. The boss fights in an Igavania game are typically ruined because they're RPGs. You're either over-leveled for the boss, and the boss is a joke, or you're under-leveled for the boss and doing 2 damage or whatever, and they're just not good.
Shoutouts to the Right Honourable Judge of New Scotland for sponsoring this video, and to everybody who helps make my channel possible by supporting me on Patreon.